it almost seems like nowadays we're in a way raising a society full of just narcissistic sociopaths who are so selfish and caught up with with what everyone else thinks that's just driven them to the point of misery. Their dopamine receptors have been so fried by scrolling nonstop on social media and everything here and there and the online videos. You guys know what I mean by that. Just everything here, everything just derailing us from real happiness, from having real peace of mind.
Have you ever noticed how people have changed? Have you ever noticed that people have become more selfish, more self centered in our society? Have you noticed that people are not interested anymore in knowing their neighbor? Have you ever felt like people have gone absolutely insane? Like, no one is really at peace with themselves, especially in America. It's like the peace of mind is gone in America, it's leaving. Very few people have peace of mind nowadays. It is constant chaos. It is constant chaos. If it's not political, it's economical. If it's not economical, it's social. There's always something. Well, don't worry, because that's exactly what is happening in this era. What is going on, guys? It's your boy Andy Matrix. I'm back with another video, and I'm back on the guys YouTube channel. Okay, so if you haven't heard of me, make sure to check me out on Andy Matrix Gaming, where I talk about anime gaming, Japanese culture, and all that cool stuff. I'm trying to reach 3,000 subscribers. If you'd like to help out with that, I greatly appreciate it. Okay, and also make sure to check out Angry Guy on Rumble, because YouTube has become the censor station, and Angry Guy is uploading content that he's not allowed to upload on YouTube. So if you want to check out that spicy stuff, click the link in the description and follow him on Rumble. Okay, and also, as the economy keeps going down and we keep losing jobs, and it gets harder and harder to find a job, and inflation just keeps going up, and many people are being pushed to be independent as they can't find a job, I recommend the Angry Guy Content Creator Academy. Eventually, many people are going to have to start their own businesses, because if, job dependency and job security are going out the window, and you're going to have to be independent. And what better business to start today than an online business? So the Angry Guy Content Creator Academy will teach you how to do that on your own business, create your own digital products, and market on social media, so that you can have your own brand and run your own business online, where there's like millions and millions of potential customers and people that you can do business with. So click the link in the description to check that out. And now, let's start the show. One of the reasons why there has been a trend for retro content, such as retro video games, 1980s movies, and gadgets from the 2000s, right? There has been a rise. People are going back in time, going to the 1980s, and just looking, basically nostalgia, right? Just going back to the good old days when things were better. And we didn't know how good we had it. Okay. There's more people listening to old music from the 80s, 90s, 2000s than ever before. And I know, because I am one of them. I've been listening to city pop, which is like 1980s music from Japan. Really great. Even young people, Gen Z, they've been consuming, old music, retro video games. This is happening because no one is satisfied with modern products, entertainment, or services. A lot of things suck nowadays. The 2020 pandemic really damaged people mentally. And you can feel it and you can see it in public. People have changed for the worse, and you can find this even in the Bible. It tells us that people's hearts will become cold. Okay, I came to America in 1999. Looking back now, although I was young and I was an immigrant, things made sense back then, right? People will get to know their neighbors even if they were from another country. Okay, but now it seems like there's just more chaos. And back then I thought that things such as that there would be, in the 2000s, people would say, oh, no, things will get better within the next 10, 20 years. There will be less racism, people will be able to get along, and a lot of these problems will be solved as society progresses. But it turns out that the opposite is happening. Turns out it's gotten worse. So Today we have Headspace with Spyro covering this topic, and I think you will agree with many of the things that he will say in this video. So let's go ahead and check it out.
We hear a lot about nostalgia, especially from people who are around the age of 30, 40, even 50, talking about a time where things were very different. Now, a lot of people think that they're mentioning things like the TV shows, the movies, the sports, even the economy and things, times when houses were cheaper. Now, although those are part of it, it's important to realize it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than even just nostalgia, quite frankly. It is a time where people were more at peace with themselves, where people were more sociable, where the world just made more sense in a way. Now, I myself grew up in the 2000s. I was born in 1997, so I wasn't a 90s kid, but I relate a lot with the millennials on this, where times were just a lot simpler and that people were a lot more comfortable in their own skin. It almost seems like nowadays we're in a way raising a society full of just narcissistic sociopaths who are so selfish and caught up with what everyone else thinks, that's just driven them to the point of misery.
So one of the main reasons why people now they care so much about what others think is because of social media. Okay, because social media, you're basically now in front of everything, and every people like to, share their thoughts on social media, and of course, their pictures. People post their pictures. People post their travels to Japan, what food they ate, all that stuff. So that's why they care so much. Um, and a lot of times, people don't know why they post their pictures because I know it's because it's to socialize, obviously. Like, oh, I'm gonna post this here. Gotta post this picture of me drinking a matcha tea at Starbucks or something like that, so that all my friends can comment and like my picture or whatever, and then that means that I am socializing. Right, and if you don't get enough likes or comments, that means that well, you don't have a lot of friends, and as a result, this is like kind of like the internet psychological part why people start to care what people think about them, because maybe they're not socializing a lot in the real world, but they want that engagement online. It's just kind of like to fill the void, you could say. So yeah, I believe that's part of it. That's part of the issue, in this digital age that we're living in.
Their dopamine receptors have been so fried by scrolling nonstop on social media and everything here and there and the online videos. You guys know what I mean by that. Just everything here, everything just derailing us from real happiness, from having real peace of mind. I'll go out sometimes with friends, go into restaurants and different kinds of stuff like that, and even observing the behavior. So many people are glued to their phones, nonstop, just glued to their phones, sitting at the table with a group of people on their phones the whole time. Every few seconds, they're pulling out their phone, not enjoying these kind of small things. The time out with your friends. You're not going to have your friends forever. You're not going to have your family forever. It's important to enjoy those things. Me, myself, lately, I've been leaving my phone in the car, actually, when I go into the gym, even when I go to a restaurant with friends, because I don't want it to derail me from enjoying the experience. Now, when it comes to the sociopathic stuff, the narcissism stuff, seems like a lot of people now are just craving for attention and comparison to other people, caring about people who, quite frankly, don't play any role in their lives, and they shouldn't care about what they think anyway. They're not thinking about these people. They're not thinking about them in the first place. I know this thing that a lot of people kind of grow out of. It was a lot worse for me when I was in my earlier 20s, but I've noticed people even in their 30s, even close to 40, who behave that way. Now, with the narcissism stuff, people talk a lot about girls and the way they behave in relationships, but it's a lot more than that. When you have people posting nonstop on social media, trying to get this attention and validation from people that they really play no role in their lives, that is very insecure. Very insecure. These are not people who are at peace with themselves and are truly happy with themselves. There wouldn't be a need to do that. I mean, this is ultimately again, we are creating a very bizarre sociopath kind of society.
This is mainly with millennials and Gen Z because the older generation, they don't really have this problem very much. Like Gen X. Gen X, they are strong as heck. Nobody messes with Gen X because, they'll put you in your place. right? And some people say that Gen X have issues like expressing themselves emotionally, and that is true. But they're strong. They still know how to socialize. They still know how to go out and talk to people. Um, you know, if you ever watch Cobra Kai on Netflix, Cobra Kai, one of my favorite Gen Xers is Johnny Lawrence. I freaking love Johnny Lawrence. It's kind of like, I think the worst part about Johnny Lawrence is his ignorance, and the best thing about Johnny Lawrence is his ignorance, right? Because he's funny and he's not afraid to be wrong. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to be wrong. And when he turns out to be wrong, like he knows how to handle it. He doesn't like freak out or anything. He's very sure of himself. And he's got that that rock solid, stable confidence, and that's something that we're missing. Where it's self esteem. It's like a generation of self esteem, Gen Z and millennials, and we make up for that. We make up for that self esteem by trying to get validation from other people, especially in the digital age, like I said before. You know. And also, one of the things that's causing a lot of millennials to be insecure is the fact that we went to two economic collapses: the 2008 recession, the 2020 pandemic, and now it's 2025, and we're losing a lot of jobs, a lot of layoffs. A lot of people are losing confidence in the economy, and a lot of people are losing their jobs. And those who lose their jobs, they usually don't find another job. It usually takes them like 6 months, a year. I've heard of people like that have been unemployed for 2 years here in America since 2024. And as this continues, we're being pushed to basically be independent. Because when there's no jobs, what else are you supposed to do than to create your own job, right? And that is why Angry Guy recommends the Angry Content Creator Academy, where you can learn how to basically run your own brand, run your own online business, how to create content and market yourself on social media and create digital products. To be able to generate an income, build an audience, such and such. And you can do this with whatever type of business, really. Whether if you're like, I don't know, an accountant, if you do art, if you just do reactions, commentary, anything of that nature, for many things, really. Basically how to market yourself on the internet and build a brand. So you can click the link in the description to check out the Angry Guy Content Creator Academy. And if you sign up, you get a free guide once you sign up. So click the link in the description, check out the Creator Academy, and let's go ahead and continue with our video.
That is not run on genuine happiness. It's run on insecurity, a very kind of rugged selfishness kind of individual that's not real independence, because you're so worried about what everyone else thinks. It's not peace of mind. And we just see things dwindling and spiraling out of control. Now, what do I mean by that? Even at a societal level. So I have a friend of mine who got a package stolen from his house at like 3 in the morning. He was on vacation, forgot about the package, but he had it on Ring door cam, the whole thing, the guy going and taking the package and running off with it. He wanted to file a police report. What they told him was, unless it was $8,000 or more worth of stuff stolen, we're not even taking a police report. I mean, how backwards is that? Letting criminals get away with this kind of stuff. Again, that's why I say, like, things just aren't making sense now. There's another example. I know someone who someone did a hit and run on him, and they were driving away. He was following the car, on the phone with the police, giving him the license plate, telling him where the car is, where they're going en route to. And the cops told him, they said, if you keep pursuing him, you're going to get in trouble for pursuing him. And unless the car was totaled or you were seriously injured, we're not going to do anything. Blatant criminals let off the hook. Meanwhile, if me or you, God forbid, doesn't make a full stop at a stop sign or goes a few miles per hour over the speed limit when there's barely any cars around you, they're going to throw the whole book at us. It's very backwards. Very, very backwards.
Yes, and it's because America loves criminals, okay? America loves criminals. And this is like, my God. Like, if you go to other parts of the world and, and you look in and they see what America is doing, it's like they're laughing at us. So, for example, in California, California, they have I forgot what it's called. I don't know the name of the law, but it's this law where if you steal something under $1,000, you cannot be, the police cannot arrest you. Like you have to steal something that's over $1,000, right? So if you steal a, I don't know, flat screen TV that's like $400, $500, the police can't arrest you for that. I think it's called a misdemeanor, something like that, something like that. But yeah, other countries look at us. They see these laws that Americans, these liberal laws that Americans have created, and have excuse and allowing people to just and not punishing people for stealing. It's like we look mental. America looks like a mess from other countries. In other countries, you will get killed if you steal a TV or anything at all. That's why America is just not safe. America loves criminals. America loves its criminals. It's absolutely just insanity.
I remember a time where people were just more at peace with themselves and had more of their own individuality and personality. They weren't so caught up with being a specific way. They weren't so jealous and envious of each other. Now, I have to call out the men on this. I myself am a man. I can only say things from a man's perspective, and this is a channel primarily watched by men, I imagine, if it picks up or whatnot. But I see a lot of jealousy and envy coming from men. A lot of the time, people talk about females and the way they act and jealous and this and that and insecurity. There's a lot of men acting like that nowadays, trying to put each other down. So caught up with comparing themselves to other people, acting feminine, quite frankly.
Yes, yes, yes. And as somebody that makes this type of content, I can honestly tell you that yes, this is very true. There are men that they're drama queens. They're as dramatic as the females. And they it's almost like they act like I hate to say this. I don't mean to be sexist, but they act like girls. They act like girls. The jealousy, the drama, being envious, and picking fights with each other. It's like I think it all comes from not having a father in the home that will beat your ass and put you in your place, right? Because when you have somebody like that at home, they don't you kind of learn how to be a man, right? And how not to be so emotional and be jealous and all these things, right? Because back in the day, instead of being jealous, what you would do is you would just learn from other people. It's like, oh wow, look at that. Johnny did this, Johnny did that. Maybe I could learn from that. Maybe I can improve myself just by watching him. But now it's just the straight up jealousy. I've seen this, yeah. I've seen it, especially online, like in the comments section. It's a lot of feminine dudes. A lot of feminine dudes. And also, it's not just them being raised by single mothers, but also it's like now our society is like a lot of women. They advocate for men to be more feminine. Why? Why would you want that? And here we are. Here are the results. Here are the results. We need better fathers in the home. But yeah, this is also men. A lot of men they don't know how to be masculine, how to be rock solid. Is something that we have lost. We have lost in our society, and I don't know. Within the next 2 decades, there's gonna be like a small population of men that probably like maintain these traits. You know what I mean?
Toxically feminine. So, this whole thing, what it really comes down to is when you hear people wanting to cling on to something, when they feel like there's something that should be so simple and should be nature, but is missing, that is what they mean when they talk about nostalgia. It's not just us getting older, or oh, we're washed up, or we're not with the times. And, because the songs are 2 minutes now. We remember when songs are 4 minutes. It had nothing to do with it. It is about peace of mind. It is about a time when people were more at peace with themselves, more social, more sociable. I myself go on walks every now and then. I used to live in a neighborhood, suburb area of Seattle. And when I used to go on walks, 5, 10 years ago, people would acknowledge you. They'd say hi to you. They would even sometimes try to start conversation with you. Most recently, when I've gone for a walk in that neighborhood, I don't live there anymore. People don't even acknowledge you, won't say hi to you, will act like you're invisible. And if you try to go out of your way to say something to them, they'll look at you like you're crazy or weird. It is so backwards. I just think it's very sad. And it goes to show a lot of people right now are very unhappy with themselves because they would not act like that if they were at peace with themselves. They would be more sociable. They would be more positive. They would have more of a smile on their face. Now, I'm in a weird era where I was born in 97, graduated high school in 2016, and I had seen how things have gone downhill in terms of the social media stuff. My generation was really the last generation to go their whole childhood without phones and social media and all this being so prominent, being so in the forefront. I think around the time Instagram and Snapchat and all these things were getting big is around when I was probably sophomore or junior year of high school. People were always out doing stuff. They were always outside going on runs, throwing stuff in the park. They were having get-togethers with their friends.
And that there is another problem. People are not making friends. People are not making friends. You know, you know, back then, you know, people would say, a lot of psychologists say that, oh, like the people that are the most loneliest are older, you know, are older people, like seniors, like 60, 70-year-old people. But older people still know how to socialize. But now, with all this technology, because people rather be online, myself included, by the way, you know, they don't know how to socialize. They don't know how to make friends. I mean, this was something that was supposed to just come naturally to people. Like you walk outside, you go to school, you go to your job, you go to church, you go to the grocery store, and you were able to talk to people and make friends here and there, right? It just happened naturally. In our society, it was built that way. But now people they just kind of lost that ability, because if it's not about them, then they don't know how to do it, or something like that, right? Or like I don't know, they have. I don't want to say that people have become too introverted. I don't think that is, because even introverts like myself, I like to go out and go out on an adventure. So that's not a good excuse. But yeah, back then people will go outside more. In society, we were kind of like, I don't want to say forced, but we were motivated to go outside and do things and play basketball or whatever, do outside activities, because we didn't have a lot of these comfortable indoor technologies like cell phones and computers and internet, where you could just stay home, play video games all day. Everything you needed was at a push of a button, to the point where like you didn't need to walk outside. Right, so our modern day society is built for our comfort, for us to stay at home, and that's why I said earlier that I believe I said earlier, is that the pandemic, the 2020 pandemic, really did some type of mental damage to people. I really do think that's part of it. You know, some people will disagree, but I mean, we were locked up at home for like more than a year. So, yeah, I do think that's part of it. Like people have become antisocial, more self-centered. You get the point. You get the point.
And I have a couple friends of mine who they had a nephew over, which nothing against him, good kid, whatever. But the whole time he was over, he was just glued to his smartphone. He's 18 years old, so he's like 10 years younger than me. Born in '07, which is crazy to think about. There's people born in '07 that are adults now. So, but the whole time he was just glued to his smartphone, scrolling TikTok nonstop. You could be out at dinner, anything, any experience was almost taken away, to where they don't enjoy. Wow, look at the sunset. Look at how nice the buildings look when it's sunny out. Look, you know, just observing the small things. Because the dopamine receptors have been so fried by the scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. It's just extremely unfortunate. Now, of course, a big part of it is housing prices, because that does play a factor in people's overall well-being. You know, when people are able to live comfortably, they're going to be more happy with themselves.
Yeah, what he said about housing, the housing prices definitely contribute to socializing, because look, it used to be that at the age of 18, and I know that the boomers started kicking their kids out at 18, but okay, stay with me, hear me out, hear me out. Um, you know, from the age of 18 to like 21 years old, you would finish high school, get your first job, get your driver's license. Some people get their driver's license at the age of 16, back then. And your parents will buy you a car, do all that, right? And then that's how you will socialize, especially here in America, where like this is a car-driven country. Like you need a car in America. Okay, you need a car in America. It's not like other Asian countries that have trains everywhere. But yeah, and you were able to get your own apartment at the age of, 21, 22, 23, 25, 20, right? And if you made friends in college, your friends will come over to your house, and because you have your own privacy, you can throw a party in your apartment, and that's how you would make friends, right? But now, what's happening now is that people are unable to afford their own apartment, and it's gotten more difficult to socialize. You understand? Right? It's gotten more difficult to socialize to the point where, like, if you have to share, if you have to share an apartment with roommates, you cannot just bring anybody into your apartment because now that's gonna, your roommate might not like them, or maybe you like to stay up late till like 1, 2 in the morning, and your roommates don't like that. You can't make noise, right? Nowadays, a lot of people are renting rooms. Like you rent a room in somebody's house, but you have to follow their rules, right? Or a lot of people in their 30s, because they're in a lot of debt or maybe they want to save money, they go back to living with their parents. And because they're living with their parents, they can't just bring in anybody to their house. They gotta be mindful, and they gotta follow their parents' rule at the age of 30, mind you. And there's less and less people owning a house. So it's like you can't throw a birthday party, you can't throw a Halloween Christmas party, you can't do much of those things, right? You gotta go out and spend money elsewhere. There's less and less people that own a house. And that's why a lot of people are not as socializing as much. And as the cost of living goes up and the price of everything goes up, you go to the bar, drinks cost more. Nightclubs are dead. Nightclubs are dead. Like a lot of dudes are not going to nightclubs because the dating scene is just awful. Spending the money is just not worth it. A lot of nightclubs are actually going out of business. Okay, and it's just a lot of things. It's a lot of things contribute to this. The cost of living, housing prices, the rent prices, politics. It's a lot of things that contribute to people's behaviors. But the 2020 pandemic really did mental damage to the masses, and I think a lot of you will agree with me. And you've seen it in public. You've seen how people have changed over the last 5 years since 2020. It's been 5 years since that happened, by the way. Keep that in mind. It's crazy. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here, guys. Whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below, like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. Guys, it's your boy, Andy Matrix. Thank you for watching and listening. Godspeed.